Sandra Bullock has long been known as one of Hollywood's most loved and respected stars. From her breakout role in Speed to her Oscar-winning performance in The Blind Side, she has given the world unforgettable characters and stories. But behind her radiant smile and her confident red carpet appearances, there is a story far more painful than most people can imagine. Sandra's life has been filled with great success, but also deep heartbreaks that have tested her spirit again and again. What makes her story powerful is not just her fame, but how she continued to stand strong through personal storms that would have broken most people. Now at 61, Sandra is not only a Hollywood icon, but also a symbol of courage, motherhood, and emotional strength. Her story reminds us that even those who seem to have it all are fighting silent battles we can't see. Sandra Annette Bullock was born on July 26, 1964, in Arlington, Virginia. Her father, John, was an American vocal coach and military man, while her mother, Helga, was a talented German opera singer. From the beginning, Sandra's life was filled with both discipline and art. She spent much of her early childhood in Germany, where she often watched her mother perform on grand stages. While other children played outside, Sandra memorized songs, stood quietly behind curtains, and learned the meaning of hard work. Life between two cultures made her feel like an outsider everywhere she went. When her family moved back to America, her German accent and old-fashioned clothes made her an easy target for teasing. Yet even in her loneliness, young Sandra developed something special: empathy. She learned to notice those who felt invisible, and that deep sensitivity would one day become the emotional strength behind her most powerful acting roles. Her early life was not easy, but it quietly prepared her for everything that was to come. After studying drama at East Carolina University, Sandra made a brave decision that would shape her entire future. Just a few credits away from graduation, she left college and moved to New York City to chase her dream of becoming an actress. The city was harsh and unforgiving. She worked as a bartender, waitress, and coat check girl just to survive. Her tiny apartment was cold, cracked, and barely livable. She often went to bed hungry, whispering her lines into the darkness and dreaming of her big break. Years passed before anyone noticed her talent. She got small roles in a few forgotten films, but nothing seemed to move her career forward. Still, she refused to give up. Each rejection became fuel for her determination. Then in 1993, she landed a small role in Demolition Man alongside Sylvester Stallone. It wasn't a hit, but it was enough to open a door, and 1 year later, that door would lead her straight to stardom. In 1994, Sandra Bullock's life changed forever when she starred in Speed opposite Keanu Reeves. Her natural charm, warmth, and energy captured the hearts of audiences around the world. The film earned hundreds of millions at the box office, turning her into an overnight superstar. Suddenly, the girl who had once lived on instant noodles in a freezing apartment became one of Hollywood's most sought-after actresses. Her success continued with romantic hits like While You Were Sleeping, which earned her the nickname America's Sweetheart. But Sandra wasn't just a pretty face in front of the camera. She was smart and ambitious. She started her own production company, Fortis Films, and helped produce major projects like Miss Congeniality and Hope Floats. She was admired for her kindness, her work ethic, and her ability to make both audiences and co-stars feel at ease. By all appearances, Sandra Bullock had built the perfect Hollywood life. Yet behind her fame, life was preparing her for heartbreaks she never expected. In 2010, Sandra reached what seemed like the greatest peak of her career. Her performance in The Blind Side earned her the Academy Award for Best Actress. As she stood on stage holding the golden statue, the world celebrated her success. But only 10 days later, her world came crashing down. News broke that her husband, Jesse James, had been unfaithful. The same tabloids that praised her turned cruel, publishing painful stories that exposed her private heartbreak to the entire world. The timing was unbearable. Her proudest professional moment became forever tied to her most personal pain. During that same period, Sandra had quietly adopted a baby boy named Louis, whom she kept hidden from the public until she was ready. While her marriage ended in betrayal, she held her son close, determined to give him a safe and loving home. That was the moment Sandra's real strength appeared. Instead of letting heartbreak destroy her, she turned all her love and energy toward motherhood. She didn't speak out in anger. She simply moved forward with quiet dignity. Just when her life seemed to regain peace, tragedy struck again. In June 2014, Sandra woke up in the middle of the night to the sound of footsteps in her home. A stranger had broken in. Terrified, she locked herself in a closet and whispered to the 911 operator for help. The man was later caught and revealed to be a dangerous stalker who had been obsessed with her for months. Although no physical harm was done, the emotional scars from that night stayed with her. She suffered from panic attacks and deep anxiety, fearing for her safety and for her son's. Sandra later said she didn't want her child to absorb her fear, so she began therapy to heal herself from within. This chapter of her life showed that even fame and wealth can't protect anyone from trauma. It was another reminder that Sandra's true battles were not fought on movie sets, but inside her own heart and mind. A year later, in 2015, life gave Sandra a second chance at love. At her son Lewis's birthday party, she met photographer Brian Randall. Unlike many others, Brian didn't see the movie star. He saw the woman behind the fame. Their bond grew naturally, built on trust, laughter, and shared love for family. Sandra later adopted a second child, a daughter named Layla, and together they created a home filled with joy and warmth. Even though Sandra and Brian never married, they lived as a devoted family. Friends often said Brian was a calming presence who made Sandra truly happy. After years of heartbreak and pain, she had finally found peace. For a while, it seemed that her long journey through loneliness and loss had ended in love and contentment. She stayed away from Hollywood's flashing lights and focused instead on raising her children and enjoying simple, quiet moments that fame could never replace. But fate can be unimaginably cruel. In 2020, Sandra's world was shaken when Brian Randall was diagnosed with ALS, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease, a condition that slowly weakens the body while the mind remains fully aware. Sandra and Brian decided to keep the illness private to protect their children from fear. She stepped away from acting, stayed home, and became his full-time caregiver. She cooked his favorite meals, learned to use medical equipment, and turned their home into a place of care and comfort. For 3 years, she silently carried the heaviest burden of her life, helping the man she loved through his slow decline. In August 2023, Brian passed away at age 57. Sandra was left heartbroken once again, this time by a loss so deep it changed her forever. She had finally found real love, only to lose it in the cruelest way possible. The woman who had once faced betrayal and fear now faced grief that words could barely describe. Just days after Brian's death, Sandra faced another storm. The movie that had once brought her the most joy, The Blind Side, suddenly became the center of a public scandal. The real-life football player who inspired the film filed a lawsuit claiming he had been misled by the family portrayed in the story. Although Sandra had nothing to do with the legal issues, cruel voices on social media unfairly targeted her. Some even said she should return her Oscar, a heartless demand considering the timing. While mourning her partner, she was forced to see her name dragged into a situation she had no control over. Yet again, she stayed silent. She didn't defend herself or fight back publicly. She chose grace over anger. That quiet strength, the ability to stand tall when the world is cruel, is what truly defines Sandra Bullock. Even when life gave her pain after pain, she always responded with dignity. Today at 61, Sandra Bullock has stepped back from the spotlight to focus on what truly matters, her children and her peace. She owns beautiful homes in Malibu, Beverly Hills, and Georgia, where she spends time surrounded by nature and love. She still runs her production company, Fortis Films, but she no longer rushes to make new movies. Instead, she chooses to live each day quietly, valuing laughter at the breakfast table more than applause from a crowd. Her estimated net worth of over $250 million means she could do anything she wants, but what she wants most is simply to be present, to watch Louis and Layla grow up happy. Sandra's life has been marked by both unimaginable pain and extraordinary success, yet she continues to move forward with grace. Her story is no longer just about Hollywood fame. It's about the human spirit. Sandra Bullock's story is not just a timeline of events. It's a journey filled with lessons that speak to millions of people around the world. Her life shows how heartbreak does not have to define who you are, how pain can become the soil from which strength grows. After everything she's been through, betrayal, fear, loss, she never allowed bitterness to take root. Instead, she turned inward and focused on gratitude. She once said in an interview, "The most important thing I've learned is that happiness is not about getting what you want, it's about loving what you have." That simple truth became her guiding light. Sandra learned that healing is not quick or perfect. It comes slowly with time, forgiveness, and love. She has taught her children that pain is not the end of a story. It's just one chapter. Each wound left a scar, but every scar told a story of courage. Through her silence and grace, Sandra reminded the world that real strength is often quiet, invisible, and deeply personal. More than fame, more than awards, Sandra Bullock values being a mother above all else. After adopting Louis in 2010 and Layla in 2015, she devoted herself to building a stable and loving environment for them. She once shared that motherhood changed her understanding of love. "I finally found the kind of love that doesn't go away," she said. Sandra's approach to parenting is thoughtful. She doesn't spoil her kids with luxury, but teaches them the value of kindness, honesty, and compassion. She's also openly discussed the challenges of raising children in the spotlight, explaining that she wants them to know life outside Hollywood's fantasy world. Sandra often takes them to volunteer activities, reminding them how lucky they are and how important it is to give back. Her parenting style is firm yet gentle, filled with humor and humility. She has said she doesn't see herself as a perfect mother, but rather a present one, someone who listens, learns, and leads by example. That quiet dedication makes her not only a great actress, but an extraordinary woman. Unlike many Hollywood stars who constantly seek public attention, Sandra Bullock has mastered the art of privacy. She rarely uses social media and carefully protects her family life from public view. This decision didn't come from arrogance, but from experience. After living through public scandals, she realized how precious peace really is. In a world where fame often demands exposure, Sandra found strength in silence. Her ability to live privately has allowed her to heal away from gossip and judgment. Even during her partner Brian Randall's illness, she shielded her family from cameras and unwanted sympathy. She wanted to protect his dignity and her children's innocence. When the world finally learned about Brian's passing, many were shocked, realizing how deeply she had kept her pain hidden. That level of emotional discipline, keeping such heartbreak private for years, shows the depth of her character. It's not coldness. It's love in its purest, most selfless form. For Sandra, peace is not the absence of pain, but the choice to carry it with grace. Hollywood is not known for kindness. It's a place where fame fades quickly and privacy is nearly impossible. Yet Sandra Bullock has managed to stand apart by being real, grounded, and humble. Co-stars often describe her as one of the kindest people they've ever worked with. Someone who treats everyone on set with equal respect, from makeup artists to producers. George Clooney once said Sandra has a natural warmth that makes everyone feel safe. Despite her power in the industry, she never uses it to intimidate others. She listens, she laughs, and she always arrives prepared. Her professionalism has earned her not only fame but deep admiration. She's been in Hollywood for over 3 decades, yet she's avoided the scandals, the arrogance, and the constant self-promotion that ruins so many stars. In a business built on illusion, Sandra remains strikingly real. Her quiet strength has made her a role model for younger actresses who now see that you don't need drama to make an impact. You just need dignity. For many, success is about wealth, fame, and awards. But for Sandra Bullock, success means peace, family, and self-respect. Over the years, she has openly spoken about stepping back from acting to focus on what truly matters. "I want to be present," she once said. "I want to wake up and not rush to a set but enjoy breakfast with my kids." That statement captures her maturity and wisdom. She's already achieved everything Hollywood can offer: Oscars, blockbusters, critical acclaim. But she understands that happiness is not measured in trophies. It's measured in the moments that make life worth living. Her decision to pause her career shocked many fans, but for Sandra, it was not retirement. It was a choice to live. It takes courage to walk away from constant praise and